Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The ISUPK, under Commanding General Yahana, presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026, in Houston, Texas. All Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person, ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General Yahana. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and warlike apparel. Prefer our leaders, can't get between us. Watch where you stepping.
All right, clap it up. Shalom, Israel. Nosotros somos la Escuela Israelita de Conocimiento Práctico Universal. Comenzamos de un oeste, calle 125, en Harlem, Nueva York, abajo del Comandante General Yahana. Shalom, Israel. We're the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yahana. And since 1969, we've been teaching the true culture of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, informing you that you are the true Israelites spoken about in the Holy Bible. It's tonight's San Antonio's Lashawan Kadash class. What Lashawan Kadash means is holy tongue. So Lashawan Kadash, right? That's in the Paleo Hebrew, written down in the Paleo Hebrew. We're gonna select. Here we go. We're gonna translate that into English. In Hebrew, reads from right to left. You know, we learn in elementary school, right? When we learn our ABCs, like A, B, C, D, E, F, right? It goes from left to right. But in Hebrew, it's not so, right? Everything that the oppressor does is backwards. So when you start to learn Hebrew, the first thing you learn is ba, ga, da. That's equivalent to A, B. The ga is like the G, and the da is like the D, right? Is ba, ga, and then da, right? You read it from right to left. You would think it's backwards, but that's our true culture. Even in ancient times, you know, people think that us so-called Mexicanos, right? We come from the Aztecs. Well, even the Aztecs wrote from
What?
right to left.
I didn't know that.
They wrote from, and they also had a pictorial hieroglyphic language. So it didn't have, like, you know, just the A and the B and the C, right? No. They had actual, like, almost like in Egypt, right? There's an interesting article that I've read that I'm pulling it up right now. I'm going to just reference the article. There's an interesting article that I read a few years back, that when I was, you know, I was still in the world, but, you know, I was researching, you know, where I come from. Okay, I know I'm a so-called Indio, right? So So
Maybe.
what kind of native am I, right? Indio means Indian or a native. So what kind of native am I? Okay, I know that my grandfather, my great grandfather came from Coahuila, Mexico, right? So I started researching the native tribes in Coahuila. So okay, I'm Gualiteco, but also, he married a Gadite sister, which was a Apache. So okay, I'm I was thinking, when I was in the world, I didn't know that the seed pertains to the father. So I'll say, okay, I'm Gualiteco and I'm Apache. So what does that make me under the eyes of God, right? It's like, where do I fit into the Bible? I started wondering that and started digging deep into my roots and my origin. And I stumbled into what was called the Mexica movement and all that. And I started learning Nahuatl. And Nahuatl is a pictorial language. In other words, it's written like hieroglyphs. And it's almost just like Egyptian kind of, right? But who what civilization was in Egypt that made it flourish? It was the Hebrews. The Hebrews built up the pyramids, just like how the pyramids are like a seventh wonder of the world, right? Well, if you go down to Chichimeca or Chichen Itza, Slovakia, it's called Chichen Itza in Mexico. You'll see wonderful pyramids out there, even better than the pyramids you'll see in Egypt. I mean, you'll see elaborate pyramids there, to where they have a court where they used to play a game where they would sacrifice to the sun god. But anyway, they would play a game, and on the very walls of the field are built to where the echo of somebody talking on the other side of the field can be heard perfectly on the whole other end. And you're talking about maybe 150 yards, to where if somebody was just talking, maybe just regular voice, you know what I mean, they could hear it. The walls were built in a certain way that the acoustics were just perfect for the voice just to cut through all the players playing and grunting, to where they would hear on the other end of the field, the mathematicians would sit, and then the royalty will sit on the other end of the field, where they can communicate with the mathematicians. Then they would cast lots on whoever was going to win, right? They would communicate, and they would just talk normal, and they could just hear each other. What other people in the history of existence are so great? Well, it's Israel. Israel is the salt of the earth. The same reason why Egypt became a great nation is the reason why Mexico was a great nation, because we are the same people. We built up the pyramids in Egypt, just like how we built up the pyramids in Mexico. We did. And the language that we spoke was Hebrew. We spoke Hebrew. That's why when Christopher Columbus came over here, he brought Hebrew interpreters. But that's another lesson for another time. Right now, we're going to learn La Shawam Kadash, right? And this right here is the La. That's the La. La. And then the Shah. Shah. Right? Remember, you read from right to left. And this is the one, the Wa, right? Wa. And it's together with the Na. La Shawan. La Shawan. which means tongue, right? Oh, I spelled that wrong. Salakia. There's a U in there. Tongue. Lengua. Lashawan. That means tongue. And then Quadash. It's the Qua. And then the Da. And it's together with the Shah. That means Dash. Lashawan Kodash, which means Kodash is holy. So what we spoke was the holy tongue. Put it all together, it's the holy tongue. That's what we spoke. And I'm about to bring up this article. I'm just referencing this article, right? It's called Interpreter Foundation, right? That's the site. And it says exploring Semitic and Egyptian and Uto-Aztecan languages, right? We all know who the Aztecs are, right? Especially if you're a so-called Latino. You know that the so-called Mexicans, you know, we are the predecessors, not the predecessors, but Slovakia. The Aztecs are our ancestors, right? They predate us. That's who the Spaniards came, the conquistadores, they came and they overtook the Spaniards, and now we're no longer Mexica, we're no longer Azteca, now we're just Mexican, right? So this particular site right here, I mean, you can research it for yourself, but it states the similarities between Uto-Aztecan and Semitic and Egyptian languages. And we're going to further dig into it, but I mean, this is a good read right here. I'm just referencing this article, which was, you know, the Interpreter Foundation exploring Semitic and Egyptian and Uto-Aztecan languages, and the author is John S. Robinson, right? He goes into to explain how the languages spoken by the native you know, Mexicans that predated, you know, colonization. They spoke a language, they call it Uto-Aztecan, but what was called is Nahuatl, right? They spoke a language similar and has the same characteristics as a Semitic language, Semitic and Egyptian, right? Egyptian also is like, you know, it's written in hieroglyphs, just like Hebrew, like you'll see right here. Well, that really represents an ox head, right? It's an ox head right here. I'm gonna give you an example. Here's the horn. Here's the head, right? That's an ox head. It's the and that's Assyrian. But you know, here's the paleo, which is the ancient. See, if you turn it the other way, it looks like an A, right? But you know, the horns and the head. It's a pictorial language, just like how Egyptian hieroglyphs are. It's the same. It's the same concept. That's how Hebrew is. So I'm just pointing out that, you know, what we spoke before the conquest, before we even spoke Spanish. Like when I first came into the class, right? I did the introduction in Spanish, then I did it in English. Those are our oppressors' languages. We didn't speak that. We, as the people of God, we spoke Lashawan Kadash. This is our original language. This is our origin. See, you know, here in the ISUPK, we teach the truth. We teach you the true heritage of our original tongue, and we're coming back to it. Let's learn the alphabet a little bit. You know, just basic introduction into the Isupk Satx, right? We're gonna learn the alphabet. I'm gonna bring out some important finds that I have found out about the tribe of Issachar, right? But that's after we get into this Isupk Satx, right? The first character of the Isupk Satx, stated is is the first character of the Isupk Satx, right? Then it's the ba. Just like it for my sloppy handwriting. That's the ba. Then you're gonna go into your ga. That's your ga. Ga. Then the da. Da. Then the ha. Ha. The wa. That's the wa. And the za. See how it looks like a Z? This predates, the Gregorian alphabet. So we are the salt of the earth. Us Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, we're the salt of the earth. Everything that we do, they copy us. From, just for instance, right? Bad Bunny headlined the Super Bowl. So what they do, they made their own show, which was the flavorless Kid Rock, right? Like wasn't no flavor in that show. Like it was just people, looking like they were doing something from the crowd. But if you watch the Super Bowl, right? People don't even call it the Super Bowl; they call it that Bunny Bowl, right? Like I'm not really a true fan of Bad Bunny, but that night, you know what I mean? People were getting up and dancing, and it turned into a club. Right, it turned into a club. Fred Flintstone. People were doing the Fred Flintstone at the Kid Rock concert. But see, that's the za. And here is the ka, the ha, the ha.
Hard time with that.
Almost like you're about to hawk one up, right? The ha. It's like a guttural sound. The ha. And then the ta. That's the ta. And then the ya. Ya. And then we have the ka. Not the ka, the ka. Which is it? Almost looks like a K, right? The ka. Ka. The la. It looks like a backwards L. La. And the ma. The ma. It's like it's got two teeth and a fin. Right? The ma. Almost looks like like a W, but upside down M. Right? The ma. And then you got the na, which is like a single tooth. Na. And then the Sa. That's the Sa. And then the I. Looks like an eyeball. I. Then the Pa. Pa. Then the Taza. That's the Taza. Then the Qua. Got the Qua here. That's the Qua. Qua. Then the Ra. It's a Ra. Then you got the Sha. Sha. We're almost done. And then last but not least is the Da. Da. And that's your characteristics for the ancient Hebrew. You know, the Assyrian is a little different. You know what I mean? It's got influences from when we were in Assyria. So we changed things up a little bit, but this is the ancient. And I like this better because to me it almost looks like you're tagging, right? Like you're about to tag something. Like it just speaks to I'm gonna get a little guttural here, but it just speaks to the spirit of a hood nigga. Like, you know what I mean? If you ever grew up in Texas and California, like
Call those crooked letters.
yeah, crooked letter, you know what I mean? Like it speaks to the spirit of people going through the struggle, right? So this is definitely the spirit of blacks and Hispanics. Definitely. So I definitely, vibe with this more than the Assyrian. The Syrian is pretty tight too, but I mean, I vibe with this more. This was easier to learn at first. Like, every Sabbath we read in the Assyrian Hebrew. And then you read the
Assyrian?
You're right. We read the.
I thought it was Yiddish.
No, Yiddish derived after all that. But
Assyrian predates.
yeah, Assyrian predates the
Yiddish.
Yiddish. What the Jewish man speaks today. Yeah, the Assyrian predates all that. So whenever we were in the land around the time of Christ, they did have scripts written in the Assyrian. They did. That's why they got the codex from. That's where King James translated the text from. But they did find in the Dead Sea Scrolls when they did excavations of the tombs around the Dead Sea Scrolls, they did find scriptures written in the ancient Hebrew. They did find that. Just like how they found the Lashawan Kadash in New Mexico in Las Lunas, New Mexico, the Decalogue stone. That's another.
The Decalogue is Assyrian?
No, the Decalogue is in Paleo Hebrew. What they call Paleo Hebrew, but it's actually the ancient Hebrew.
The original.
The original. It's the Lashawan Kadash. That's what I just wrote all the characteristics in is Lashawan Kadash. You can find these same characteristics in Las Lunas, New Mexico. It's the 10 Commandments written in. Well, it's carved into the side of the mountain in Las Lunas.
So I want to go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll go out there pretty soon to visit it, Lord willing. But let's go over it again, right? See, the ah, ah, the ba, the ga, da, da. It looks like a doorway, right? Da, the ha, ah, za. Looks like a Z. Za. The ka. Ta. And then the ya. The ka. Looks like a backwards K almost. Right? The L. La.
Yeah.
Looks, you can tell it's an L.
Yeah.
The ma. It's got 2 teeth on there. Ma. The na. Got 1 tooth. Na. Sa. I. Pa. Taza. Qua. Ra. Sha. Ta. That's your characteristics for the Lashwam Kadash. So all our language is built on these these characteristics right here. So if you put these together, this is how you form words in Hebrew. Just like how you would put, CAT in the English alphabet to form like cat and stuff like that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but like each of these symbols represents like a pictorial reference to something that you see every day, like this right here. Ah, that's an ox head. The da, that's a doorway. It's a door, because Hebrew is a pictorial language. But I'm going to give some examples of some words that you can put together, right? I'll put it down right here. Just for instance, like today's class is called People of Time, right? Well, we're going to find out who the people of time are. Well, we're going to give you a word right here, right? This is the Yah. Let me break this right before Officer Yashikar gets on to me.
Yeah, I was over here further.
The Yah. And then here's the Shah, right? Yah, Shah. Oh, see, there we go again with my left hand writing again. Shah, Yah, Shah, Shah. I can't really make that out. Ka and the Ra. Yash, Shah, Kar. Shah. It's Yash. Yash. Because the Yah and the Shah is together. So it's Yash. Shah. Kar. Yashikar. That's a tribe of Israelites. Yashikar, which is your modern day so-called Mexicans. Yashikar. Mexicans. That's who the world calls us. We're known as Mexicans to, our oppressors. But to the Lord, we're known as Yashikar, which is Issachar, which translates into Issachar. Well, tonight's class is about the people of time, right? So when you think of time, how do we, how do we know what time it is? Through a clock, right? Well, what time of the month do you know it is? It's through a calendar. Well, if you ask anybody about the history of Mexico, what is one of the most prominent, marks that they made here in the Western Hemisphere? Well, throughout history, really, the most prominent marks that they made was what was now called the Aztec and Mayan calendar, right? Well, a calendar is to mark what time it is of the year. Well, this is by no coincidence. This is how we know that the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are of the 12 tribes of Israel. Not only are our history, written about in history books that they hide from us, right? I'm going to reference a book here that it speaks about the history of the so-called Mexicans, right? It's called Origins of the American Indians by L.E. Huddleston, and this is on page 88. It says, the only other writer this author found who accepted the Issachar variation of the 10 lost tribes theory was Baltazar de Medina in his Crónica de la Santa Provincia de San Diego de Mexico of 1682. Although Medina thought the South Americans and Yucatanians were descendants of the Gentile Ichten, father Ophir, the Mexicans are originally of the 10 tribes captured by Salmanasar and of the family of Issachar, which is, Yashikar, what I just written down here. Yashikar, whom the Indians recognized as their special ancestor. See, they hid our history from us. That's why when the conquistadores came to Mexico, right, they got all our records and they just burnt them. They burnt them. We knew that we came from the East. We knew that. We had records, stating where our origin came from, right? But they're not going to teach us that. You don't teach a slave. You indoctrinate a slave. So when we go to school, we don't learn about the history of the Aztecs. We don't learn about the history of the Chichimeca, the history of the Mexica, which is our ancestors. Who are their ancestors, right? You're going to learn that here in the ISUPK, that the ancestors to our ancestors are the lost tribes of Israel. You're going to learn that here, but you're not going to learn that in the school system because you don't teach a slave. You just indoctrinate a slave. And that's how they view us. They just view us as just the working class. Who works harder than a Mexican? Whenever you need something that's real laborious to do, that's going to require a lot of back strength, you hire a Mexican because he's going to get the job done, right? We're just looked at as the working class of the society. We're basically just slaves here in America, right? No different from when the Israelites were in slavery in Egypt, building up Pharaoh's bricks for his pyramids. No different from them. It's the same thing. Well, the Ishkarites were a strong tribe of Israel, and they were people of understanding. Just like how it takes a lot of understanding to build up pyramids, right? You have to know mathematics, which is the Aztecs are the founders of the concept of zero. Before the the Spanish Inquisition, they didn't have the concept of zero. They learned the concept of zero from the Aztecs. The Aztecs knew what 0 and -1, -0.5 were. That concept came from so-called Mexicans. Well, what more understanding is that than breaking down math to the smallest molecule? That's why they were able to build up those pyramids. They knew what type of degree to lay down the stones to where the sun would hit it during a certain time of the year to where a shadow would move down. They knew how to do that because they knew the exact math. They were people of understanding. Well, I'm gonna read an article. I'm gonna read a scripture right here. Right, it's First Chronicles 12:32. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment. Right, so that gives you an insight of the wisdom of Issachar. He had understanding of the times. Well, we're going to get into Shalom no Christ, sis. We're going to get into some Hebrew, right? Like we just broke down. Yeah. Shah. Car.
I just got out of work. I don't know my feet. Oh, this girl's side.
Oh, this the girl's side. I know I didn't get.
You scared the shit out of me.
I came all this. I've been coming here for 2 days.
So like he says what?
I've been coming here for 2 days.
Oh yeah.
I came this morning thinking it was Saturday morning.
Oh.
I came this morning thinking it was Saturday morning. I said I know. And then I'm walking across the street and I see.
And then we don't even make it any better. We have the gates down.
Yeah, it's like it says.
Hold on. Let me get back.
Okay. What time does class start?
Class starts at 7, sis. We have class Monday through Thursday at 7:00 p.m.
Oh,
And it usually,
late.
yeah, you're a little late, but it's fine. We're going to get into we're going to recap since you.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to at least try to meet a couple of people and introduce myself if I come tomorrow. Because I was doing this in Dallas.
Okay.
In Dallas.
I was getting into, we learn the alphabet, and when we get into elementary school, right?
Yeah.
And we learn the ABCs from left to right.
Yeah.
Well, Esau does everything backwards from the Lord, right? So our true culture, we read everything from right to left.
Yeah.
So this is the characteristics of our true language, which is the Lashuam Kadash, which means the holy tongue. And this is the Ah, the Ba, the Ga, Da, Ha. Oh, we got some head wraps. Salakia. There's a bag.
Because you're okay.
No, I'm not.
Oh, she's not. But
Well,
No, I'm not.
Salakia Karanan. There's some head wraps on the counter right next to the bathroom over there. They're in like a little bag. Just bring that whole bag and the sis can pick one out.
Okay, so we can read from right to left.
Yes, we read from right to left.
Okay.
And then these are the characteristics of the Lashuam Kadash, which is the ancient Hebrew.
You say can't have them out?
I said you can. Well, I guess they're for here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the sister. She's picking out the head wrap. But this right here is the first characteristic, right? Is the ah, and this is the ba, the ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, ta, ya, ka. Not to be confused with the ka. The ka. It's like if you're gonna hawk one out, right?
Yeah.
Like ka. And then this is the la, which it looks like a backwards L. And then the ma, it's got the two teeth with it. The na, which is just the single tooth. The sa, the I looks like an eyeball. The pa, the tza, kwa, ra, sha, and ta. See, this right here is just the ta. But this is the ta. This is the characteristics of the Lashon Kadash, which is the ancient Hebrew. And tonight's class, we're going to go over the people of time, right? And this is the tribe. This is the tribe of Israel right here. There's the Yah, and this is the Shah. But you put these together as Yash, and this is the Shah right here again. And it's just singular, so it's the Shah, and this is together, which is the Ka and the Ra, right? But it's Kar, it's a Yashakar. How it's pronounced.
Right there.
Salaki.
That's the mirror.
With the mirror. Oh, you see me?
Yes. There's a restroom right there with the mirror.
Where? Is this door?
It's men's, but we're working on fixing the sister. It'll be all right.
Yeah, it's your either.
So it's Yashakar, which is your modern day so-called Mexicans. But I was going to get into people say that the most prominent nation here in the old Western Hemisphere, right, were the Aztecs. First it was the Inca, then the Olmecs, then the Inca, then the Aztecs, the Mayan, then the Aztecs. I'm sorry. Well, if you ask any so-called Mexican, they're going to say that we're descendants of the Aztecs. Well, I'm going to show you Aztec in the Hebrew. I'm going to show you tonight. So this is from the Strong's H227, which is the Oz, right? The Oz, which is, I'm gonna write it in the paleo. That's Ah, and then the Za. That's the Oz. It's your Strong's H227. Oz. And that translates into time, here, or place, or now, right? That's what that translates into. Oz is either time, here, or a place, or now. Oz. And then we're going to get into the Strong's H8497 is the Tekah. The Tekah. And gonna write that. Let's make some room here. Astika, and then right here was this the ta. See, there's no vowel points, right? That's the Yiddish translation of it. When you read in the the concordance, they put the Yiddish translation in it, which is a derivative of the Assyrian mixed with like a Slavic tongue, which is the Yiddish are the people that speak Yiddish are your so-called Jewish people today, right? Well, they mix their tongue with the Hebrew, and then they called it Yiddish. What their tongue was like a Slavic tongue, like a Slavic Turkish tongue. So they intermingled the way they speak into what we speak, and that's how now modern Hebrew has vowel points. But the Lashon Kadash doesn't have vowel points. We never did have vowel points, so it's not pronounced taka. It's taka, ta. So it's the ta, right? It's the ta, which is the circle with the X, right? And then the ka. The ka is and then the ha. And a lot of times when the ha is at the end, it's silent. Well, all the time. When the ha is at the end, it's always silent. It just and like it not exaggerates, but that's the word I'm looking for. Like it helps out this letter before it, right? The ka. It just helps you pronounce it more. You know what I mean? So it's taka. So you put that together, it's your Az taka, which that's the Azteca, how you would say it now. You know how our president would say Azteca, but it's the Azteca, and what the Taka translates into is an encampment. Encampment or people. So Yashikar, how it said it in First Chronicles 12:32, and the children of Issachar, which is Yashikar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their command. So, who has more understanding of the times than the Aztecs, when they were known for their calendar, right? Aztecs were known to.
To this day, it's one of the most, if not the most accurate calendar.
Right. The Mayan and the Aztec calendar are one of the most advanced agricultural schedules to ever exist. They knew, they knew how to map the stars to know where and when.
That's scriptural too.
Right. To plant their corn, because they lived off of corn. So they know exactly how and where and when to plant the corn, because they were men of understanding.
What I heard, like they'll plant the corn and then they'll plant bean under it. So
Right.
The vine of the bean.
The three sisters. It's called the three sisters. It's
When it also like
squash.
Yeah,
Right.
So something like that.
And corn and something. It was like 3 different.
Yeah.
things.
Right.
So
It strengthens the roots of the corn. It strengthens the roots of the corn, so the corn won't be easily swayed in the wind, right? So it gives you more structure in the roots of the corn. It gives you more structure so the squash can build up and raise up and have somewhere to grow, and the beans grow on the squash.
That's crazy.
It all works together. But So if you put all that together, right? So Azteca is people of time. Your Aztecs.
That's crazy.
So the Azteca is actually Hebrew. So when you think of your so-called Mexicans and they're like, oh no, I'm not a Hebrew, I'm an Aztec. Aztec is Hebrew. Azteca. Azteca. It's actually pronounced Azteca. Azteca.
Oh, that's Azteca.
Azteca. That's how it's pronounced. But the Spanish couldn't understand our language because they felt like we were so guttural and intimidating. Azteca, like Azteca, like, you know, they completely switched up our how can I say, enunciation of our words, because they couldn't pronounce the words like us, because they didn't have the testicle fortitude to it. They couldn't. So that's why they say for us, you know, don't speak Spanish because you're getting too loud. You can't speak Spanish because we don't know what you're saying. But you get a bunch of Mexicans, so-called Mexicans in a room together and they're speaking Spanish, it's gonna get loud because we're masculine people. We're people of the Lord. We have a lot of spirit in us. They don't have that spirit and they get intimidated by it. That's why they tell us not to speak our language that they forced us to speak. Right? Yeah. Well, that's the history of the people of time. So, y'all got any questions? No? Okay. Well, I thought I'd bring that out tonight because I never heard anybody break this down before, and I figured it was time. It was time, you know, because I'm a man of understanding of the times. So with that, this is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. Shalom.
Hey, I came.
You made it.
Yep.
You know that. Oh, no.
What?